Hello and welcome back to a new video. Today we are going to be doing my fantasy football team. Now the way I'm going to do it is I haven't had a look at any of the players, any of the prices so far. I'm just going to go in blind. I'm going to do it, my live reaction, creating my team, and you can have a look at who I choose, what I go for. And it's going to be difficult because I just don't know the prices, and usually it takes me quite a while to come up with this team. But I'm going to try and do it a little bit quicker this time because I'm doing it on a video. But yeah, let's get into it. Right, so here we are, 100 million to spend on 15 players, as always. So the way I usually do it is I usually choose my attackers and my midfielders first, and then I go with the defenders, because the defenders don't tend to score as many points, I don't find. And I usually prioritise with midfielders, because the way fantasy do it is wingers class as midfielders. So like Aubameyang and Salah class as midfielders because they play on the wing, which is weird because they're obviously not midfielders, they're forwards. But anyway, so let's pick a midfielder. So Bruno Fernandes is 12 million and Salah is 12.5 million. I just think you have to go for a Liverpool forward, and Mane was just trash last season, let's be honest. Salah carried a lot of Liverpool's front line, so I'm going to choose Mohamed Salah as like my mainstay, because he always goes in my fantasy team. There's one player that I also want, and that is... that's not good. I'll search it. Buendia. It's for 6.5 million. The reason being is, as it stands, Jack Grealish looks set to go to Man City. That's what's being reported. And therefore, I think Aston Villa's main attacking outlet is going to be Buendia. And with Leon Bailey, Bernard Traore, and Watkins in front of him, we know what he did at Norwich. Like, he's got a much better team to work with now. So I definitely want Buendia in there. And for 6.5 million, like, you can't really complain about that. Dallas is quite a good shout. He was good for Leeds last season. Man City have a lot of very high scoring players, very expensive players, good players like De Bruyne, Sterling, Mahrez. They'll have Grealish as well. But it's really difficult to pick Man City players because they've just got so much squad depth. Pep just loves to rotate them. So you could buy De Bruyne, he scores a hat-trick one week, then he's on the bench the next week and they're resting him. And it's like, what do you do? So I'm going to steer clear of Man City attackers. I might buy a Man City defender just because Ruben Dias scored me a lot of points last season. So here we are on forwards. I'm inclined to go for Bamford because he did well and he's Leeds' like main attacking force, isn't he really? If they're going to score a couple goals in the game, the likelihood is Bamford scores them. But he's gone up in price this year. He's now 8 million. I think I'm going to go for Bamford because he's 8 million. It's not a huge amount of money. He's not like a 12 million pound player. Thomas Souček did well for me last season, so it could be worth sticking with what I know. He does grab a lot of goals for a midfielder. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Thomas Souček. I think he's good value for money. He's always up in the box for headers as well, so the likelihood of him scoring is increased. I'm tempted to go for Dallas because he is also cheap. Let's have a look. He got 171 points last season. What's that one? Goals conceded 5.3. Clean sheets. Assists. He got 8 goals from midfield last season and 3 assists. But he seems to do quite well every single week. I think I'm going to go for Dallas. Nice, right. We've got a bit of value for money there. So we can start to add a few more expensive players. I'm going to go for goalkeepers. Now I like to go for relatively cheap goalkeepers because they're not going to get goals or assists unless they're called Alisson Becker or Edison. So it's just worth going for ones that start at least. 4.5 million I think is fair enough. Gaeta's a very good goalie for Crystal Palace. Now it depends how Vieira sets them up. I think he's going to set them up a bit more exciting from what journalists have been saying, which is good. Is it good for a goalkeeper? I'm not sure. I'm going to go for another 4.5 million goalkeeper. I think I'm just going to go for Sanchez. So cheap on the goalkeepers. How much money do you have left? We've got 52 million left. Let's choose some defenders. Okay, so defenders. Right, so it is always good to go for a Liverpool fullback, I do find, a Robertson or a Trent, because the likelihood is they are going to get assists. Now, Robertson got more points than Trent last season, but Trent did miss a few games through injury, and yet only got 1 point less. So, in terms of an attacking outlet, I think I'm going to go for Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now, let's go for some cheap defenders as bench fodder. I think I'm going to go for Ben White, because I think he's going to be okay. But I'm not going to start him. I'm going to go for Connor Cody as a bench player. Now, let's have a look for more expensive defenders that actually get assists and goals a bit more frequently. Cresswell, how did he do last season? Cresswell got 11 assists last season. I knew he got a few. I didn't realize he had that many. Bloody hell, that's a good option. Ruben Diaz, obviously a very good defender last season. 1 goal, 1 assist. He actually scored on the week I triple captained him last season, which is crazy. Cresswell though with 11 assists. I don't want to go too West Ham heavy. There's 2 West Ham players in there, but 5.5 million for a player that got 11 assists. How many assists did Trent get last season? 8. It's almost a no-brainer. I'm gonna go Cresswell. I think I'm gonna go for Tyrone Mings. Ezri Konsa only got 2 goals. It doesn't really matter at that point. I'm just gonna go Tyrone Mings. I think he's more likely to score from a corner. But that could be me being wrong. Okay, 25 million on 3 players. Let's look at some cheap forwards. See, all these cheap forwards are just trash. I'm going to go for a really cheap one that is not going to play and just put him on my bench and never use him. Obafemi, Davis. I'll go for Davis for Aston Villa. He's only 4.5 mil. But he's not going to play, so he'll be on the bench. So I'll go, these 2 players are going to be starters for me. 21 million. It's quite difficult this season. But these 2 players can be 10 million a piece, really. So these should be alright. Let's look for a midfielder first. So I could go Bruno Fernandes. He does take the penalties as well, which is good. He got double figures goals and assists last season. 18 goals, 14 assists. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I don't think you're going to find a player better. Fernandes and Salah in the same midfield as well is pretty nice. I'll see if I can fit him in. And that means I have 9 million on a striker. 9 million. Ollie Watkins, Calvert-Lewin, Firmino. I mean, realistically, Ings didn't have a great season last season. I'm not going to choose Timo Werner because I made that mistake last season and you need to learn from your mistakes in life. Ollie Watkins and Calvert-Lewin are the 2 that I'm debating. Watkins, 14 goals, 9 assists last season. Calvert-Lewin, 16 goals, 6 assists. Wow. I mean, there's not much separating them, is there? I've got Buendia. So, like, if Aston Villa have an off game and I have Buendia and I have Watkins, then I'm not going to score points. But I think it's good to maybe get an Everton player in there. Maybe it's good just to broaden the teams so you've got more of a chance of, say, Everton do well but Aston Villa do badly in a game. I've got more of a chance of Calvert-Lewin scoring points. The likelihood of 2 teams doing badly in comparison to 1 is less. So I think I might go for Calvert-Lewin. I think it's just wiser, fantasy-wise, to go for Calvert-Lewin. So I'm going to add him, which means I have 1 million left. I'm going to get rid of Mings instead because that's Aston Villa heavy. And I'm going to have Cresswell, Arnold and Ruben Diaz. There we go. I think that's a pretty good team. Let's enter the squad, shall we? So here is my team for the upcoming game week. Premier League starts not this weekend, but the weekend after. Gaeta in goal, Trent, Ruben Diaz and Cresswell at the back. In midfield, Bruno Fernandes, Mohamed Salah, Emi Buendia, Souček and Dallas. And then up front, Patrick Bamford and Calvert-Lewin. I've gone for Bruno Fernandes as my captain because they're home against Leeds. And the Old Trafford atmosphere against the fierce rivals Leeds, I think it's going to be an exhilarating game. I mean, last season, that score was, 6-2 or something like that? So there's going to be goals in that game, and Bruno Fernandes is going to be at the forefront of them, I believe. The Salah, who's away at Norwich, and I don't think that's going to be as much of a vibrant game in terms of attacking prowess. But I might change that round, like when they're playing against different teams. Then on the bench, Sanchez, Ben White, Connor Cody and Keenan Davis. Yeah, I think I've maximised my team as best I could there. 100 million is difficult to spend. Now all the good players are 12 million or so. But I managed to get Salah and Fernandes in the same team. Still get Bamford and Calvert-Lewin, Buendia, Dallas and Souček I think are high scorers as well. And then I've still got 2 creative outlets at the back who frequently get assists in Cresswell and Alexander-Arnold. And Ruben Dias hoovered up clean sheets last season for me as well. So I don't really think I could do much better with that. I'm sure if you're watching, you've probably seen something that you disagree with, and that's fair enough. But for me, I think this is the team I'm going to go for. And we shall see how that pays off over the coming weeks. But yeah, that's the end of my video on fantasy. If you have any ideas on your fantasy teams and you want to let me know, leave them in the comments down below. Again, subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, and I'll be back for a new video soon.